Hey guys, it's Nik the Booksmith. Welcome back, welcome back. I need to take a break from getting my taxes together before my brain implodes. And I'm going to continue working on the eco book. However, I had recorded putting the end sheets on after I got done sewing up all the pages, and I can't find that video clip. So I'm going to recreate it, kind of like they do on America's Most Wanted. So we're going to pretend that this is my text block. Okay, it's not, but we're going to pretend that it is because it doesn't matter. It's the same process. And basically all I do is I grab a couple of pieces of paper, and this is just printed on standard copy paper. Just a design that I printed on standard copy paper. I've used designer paper, not cardstock, but just the regular designer printed paper. There's all kinds of things you can use, but this is what I'm using today. And all I'm doing is I need 2 pieces of this paper that is the same size as the book pages. That's all I'm doing. So while I'm doing that, because that's pretty self-explanatory, I'm going to be putting paper on paper. I'm going to talk about an ongoing investigation that I've been reading about, and I don't know, maybe you guys have been reading about it too. Maybe you have heard about Lauren Smith Fields, but if you haven't, the Cliff Notes on her is that on December 12th of last year, so less than 2 months ago at the time I record this, police responded to a 911 call and discovered upon arrival at her apartment that she had passed away unexpectedly. Lauren was 23 years old and a college student, and she had a date the evening before with a 37-year-old gentleman that she had met couple days before on a dating app. The police found Lauren lying on the floor on her back, and there was dried blood around one of her nostrils. And the man that had placed the call was also on scene when the police got there. The report said, I'm just lining these up so I can cut them the same width as the other papers. The police report said that he had been doing chest compressions with the guidance of the emergency operator that he was talking to on the phone. And the police described him as frantic, trembling, and visibly shaken. So those 911 calls have not been released yet. Neither have the body cam footage of the officers that arrived, if there was any body cam. But a little side note here, just for future you and me, I would be curious to see if the autopsy report notes that there were any signs that he had actually done CPR. I couldn't find that out yet, but I'm making a mental note of it. At this point, they're folded right side to right side, and basically I'm going to attach them just like they were the top sheet and then the bottom sheet. In the book I put a strip of glue, just a little, I don't know, wherever my glue is, I don't know where it is, but anyway, just some white glue. And then I lined the fold of the end sheets with the edge of the spine edge of these folded papers too. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to use some double-sided tape because you guys know how much I love it. Okay, so anyway, he told the police that he had met Lauren on that dating app just a few days earlier and they had met in person for the first time the evening before. Lauren had invited him over, and he said they were just having some tequila shots and playing a game, and he did say that sometime during the evening she got sick and went to the bathroom. So I don't know if he was alluding that she was drunk. I don't know. It doesn't really say. But anyway, when she got back from the bathroom, he said that they kept on having a good time, and they drank a little more, and they ate some food and started watching a movie. Just hanging out, basically. He said Lauren fell asleep on the couch, and he carried her to bed and fell asleep next to her. He said nobody took any clothes off, that he was, I don't know if he was too tired to go home, or I don't know. I didn't really say either. So anyway, he said that when he woke up early in the morning to go to the bathroom, that he could hear her snoring. And then later on, when he woke up again about 6:30 a.m., he saw that she wasn't breathing and had blood coming out of her nose. And that's when he called the police. So the man tells his story to the police there in the incident report, because that's what happens whenever cops show up to a call. There is always some kind of an incident report. Whatever it is, it's written up. And then the police allowed him to leave. Yeah, you heard me right. They said, "Oh, okay, thanks for the info. Have a good afternoon." And he walked out. So when Lauren's family asked about this guy, the detective said, "Oh, well, he was a nice guy. There wasn't a need to investigate. Don't jump to any conclusions. Like, nah, he's cool. We're bros." What is that? A point that the attorney for the family, for Lauren's family, brought out in an interview is he says that when you have a case like this, that it should be treated as a homicide. Go into it thinking it's a homicide. And then after investigating, if you need to, you dial it back. But you don't go into it presuming that there's no criminal involvement. The first few days, of course, are critical to any investigation. You know, getting evidence and investigating witnesses and all that, right? But this guy that the police let waltz out of Lauren's apartment has yet to be formally interviewed. He has lawyered up, and he has yet to provide a DNA sample. This right here, this point right here, is where I was like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Because the police hadn't just dropped the ball at this point. And we're talking literally that morning when they showed up on the scene, they hadn't just dropped the ball, but they had totally jacked up the whole investigation. They show up to find a young woman deceased. They have no clue why, but they take the word of the guy who claims she died in her sleep and let him go? Really? That's what we're doing? Is that the extent of our investigation? Wow. So, you think you're mad now? Well, hold my beer, because not only that, but the police didn't even bother to notify Lauren's family. Didn't even call them. Instead, the family finds out not that day, not that night, not the next day, but the next night, when they couldn't get a hold of Lauren and they drove to her apartment, there was a note taped to her door from the landlord. That's how they found out. I know. There are no words. There are no words. So after not getting anywhere but frustrated, the family met the police at Lauren's apartment on the 29th, which is over 2 weeks later if we're counting. And we are. And forced them to collect some items on the scene because her family had to clean out her apartment. It was not designated a crime scene. There was no crime scene tape. It wasn't cordoned off. It wasn't sealed. Nothing. So when they go to her apartment to start cleaning out her stuff, there are some items there that are very suspicious. they contact the police and say, you have to take this. This has got to be evidence. So there was a used condom in the bathroom, and the guy said there was no hanky-panky at all. There was a pill found on the counter, and also the sheets were bloody. So they did. The police bagged that stuff and took them into evidence over 2 weeks later, of course. But at this point, because the apartment wasn't sealed off, there wasn't even tape on the door saying do not enter crime scene like you're supposed to. The chain of possession of the evidence is now in question, because at a trial, now the defense of whoever could say, well, none of that stuff was protected. Anybody could have gotten there and planted that because the police screwed up in the beginning and didn't do their job. And as of the end of January, those items had yet to be turned in for forensic testing. A month later, still not turned into the lab. On January 24th, the medical examiner reported that Lauren died from acute intoxication due to combined effects of fentanyl, antihistamines, and alcohol, and ruled her death accidental. The medications that are described in the ME's report are also commonly used as date rape drugs. So I'm not saying she was secretly drugged by anybody, but I'm not saying that she was secretly drugged by anybody, if you catch my drift. At the beginning of this month, Lauren's mom, Chantel, and the family's lawyer, Darnell Crossland, said in an interview they were on The Real daytime show. So they were talking to the hosts of The Real. And they said that based on public outcry and all the support from people around the country, that week, the mayor of Bridgeport announced that the detectives, Cronin and Janos, had been suspended and put on administrative leave because there was an internal affairs investigation starting on their conduct or laziness or deliberate oblivion. You know, you can fill in your own words there. And that their supervisor retired from the department, or in layman's terms, was forced to take an early retirement. The mayor, to his credit, finally stepped in, and I will read his part of his statement. It says, I want to be clear to members of the public and the department that insensitivity, disrespect in action, or deviation from policy will not be tolerated by me or others in this administration. My disappointment and demand for accountability in these and any other matters brought to my attention will remain until all the questions are answered to the satisfaction of all. Lauren's mom, Chantel, said that the whole world is watching how the Bridgeport Police Department handles this case. And if I may be so bold to echo Ms. Fields in saying, Bridgeport, we're watching too. Another woman, Brenda Lee Rawls, 53 years old, she also lives in Bridgeport, died that night in a totally unrelated incident. But I can't provide you with any details because her autopsy is still pending. So yeah. Her family can't even begin to process their loss until they get any answer at all about what happened. So let's hope that this kick in the crotch that Lauren's family just delivered motivates the powers that be to get that done soon as well. All right, guys, well, that is all for this video. I hope everybody's having a great week, and I will see you really, really soon in the next video. Bye, guys.